Number 7, the mirror neuron malfunction. You know that cringe feeling when you watch someone fall flat on their face and your cheeks flush with secondhand shame? That's your mirror neuron system being activated. These neurons fire not only when you perform an action, but also when you observe someone else performing it. They are the biological basis for empathy, linking your internal experience to the external world. But when you're being watched, these same mirror neurons turn against you. You don't just feel your own awkwardness, you are also simultaneously feeling the awkwardness the watcher is perceiving in you. You are essentially experiencing vicarious embarrassment for yourself. And your brain is running a real time simulation of the observer's hypothetical judgments. This psychological loop creates a terrifying feedback mechanism. You become so good at reading others' subtle judgments that you start to feel those judgments internally. It's a sensory overload where you're processing your performance and the audience's reaction to it all through the same set of hypersensitive neurons. Your brain is not built to run two simultaneous streams of self criticism, which is why being watched leaves you feeling mentally exhausted and emotionally exposed. Number 6, the social performance tax. Here's a creepy little fact: being watched changes your behavior, and the effort to manage that change actually exhausts your brain. Welcome to the weird world of impression management and its hidden psychological toll. Impression management is the conscious or unconscious effort to control the impressions others form of you. It is the brain's process dedicated to managing exactly how you want to be perceived. When you feel judged, your brain activates the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain responsible for complex decision making, and studies show increased activity in the medial prefrontal cortex when people are actively trying to control the impression they give. This constant, complex computational process of maintaining a social front is so taxing on your cognitive resources that research shows a negative association between high impression management and life satisfaction. Why? Because this effort disrupts your personal sense of control and elevates loneliness. Psychologists have found that even just thinking about how others perceive you reduces your cognitive bandwidth. Think about that. The very things you do to fit in are making you feel less in control and more isolated. You're spending all your energy reacting and performing instead of connecting. So, no, you're not being dramatic when you feel uneasy being seen through your window. It is just your nervous system trying to execute a perfect social performance to avoid judgment, which your brain still equates with social death. Number 5, the spotlight effect glitch. Ever go to work and as you're walking in, you notice a large stain on your shirt? You then spend the whole day convinced everyone is staring at it, judging you, and talking about it. That intense feeling isn't just shame or embarrassment, it's a psychological phenomenon called the spotlight effect. And it's a cognitive bias where we dramatically overestimate how much other people are paying attention to us, our appearance, and our behavior. In reality, people are mostly trapped inside their own heads, worried about their own metaphorical stains. Their internal monologue is too loud to register yours. The reason you hate being watched so much is that your brain is convinced the spotlight is constantly on you. Your brain does this because for our ancestors, being scrutinized was a life or death audit. If the tribe noticed you were weak, injured or unreliable, you could be exiled. So your nervous system is on permanent guard, anticipating and expecting judgment. The paradox is the more you worry about being watched, the more awkward you act, which only makes you feel more watched. It's a self fulfilling prophecy powered by an anxious, ancient mind. Number four, the performance anxiety sabotage. You're parallel parking your car. You notice there's a car stopped behind, waiting for you to finish. Suddenly, your body stiffens, your hands get sweaty, your focus and coordination disappears. That's not just nervousness, it's your brain's reacting to the stress and pressure of being watched. This phenomenon is called choking under pressure. It turns a simple routine into a stressful, high stakes performance. It's because highly practiced skills are normally handled by the basal ganglia and cerebellum. Think of this as your brain's autopilot center. It runs routines perfectly without conscious effort. But the moment you are being watched, your conscious brain rushes in and takes over. This forces you to think through steps you usually do naturally, completely disrupting the automatic flow. Your brain is literally sabotaging itself by overthinking. It's trying to make you look competent for the observer, but instead it creates a mental traffic jam. This performance anxiety is the reason you despise being watched while working. Your brain knows that a natural flow state is the secret to high performance, and an audience is the fastest way to crash the system. Number three, the loss of control. When you are being watched, you are no longer the only narrator of your reality. The observer is creating their own story about you, and you have absolutely zero control over it. This loss of control is deeply unsettling. We build our identity on a narrative of self. We want to be seen as smart, capable, or funny. When someone watches you, they are taking a snapshot and judging it based on their own filters, their own past, and their own mood. Your brain, which values predictability and safety, registers this as a threat. Why? Because an unpredictable judge equals an unpredictable outcome. This feeling is strongest when you are observed during a private moment, like eating or scrolling on your phone. These are moments when your mask is typically off. Being watched during these times feels like an invasion, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because it feels like a forced intimacy where you are vulnerable to interpretation you can't manage. Number two, eyes as social weapons. Let's talk about eye contact. Humans are social creatures, and direct eye contact is one of your most powerful nonverbal tools. It's supposed to be the universal signal for honesty, confidence, and trust. But your brain has other darker opinions. Direct eye contact is the strongest social tool you have. It's a nonverbal way to communicate intimacy or hostility. There is very little space in between those two extremes. Think about a predator in nature. A prolonged stare signals an immediate threat. It's a nonverbal message letting you know it sees you and you are the target. Your nervous system still runs on this old survival rule. Studies using fMRI scans confirm that extended eye contact triggers the same neural pathways in your brain used in threat detection. Your brain immediately starts spending precious energy trying to decipher the watcher's intent. If a stranger holds your gaze for too long, your amygdala, your brain's panic button, flares up. You're trying to process micro expressions, pupil size, and subtle twitches all at once. This cognitive overload is why eye contact is exhausting and why even a casual glance in a crowded room can feel like a psychological shove. You unconsciously know that an unwanted gaze feels like a violation of personal space, making you feel hunted rather than simply seen. Number one, the flow state destroyer. Imagine you're in the zone. You're coding, writing, or practicing a new skill. Time disappears. This total immersion is the flow state. It's where you're at your absolute peak performance. But the second you sense a pair of eyes on you, that flow is interrupted. The ironic truth is that focused work requires vulnerability. To hit flow state, you have to let go of judgment. You must allow yourself to look messy, make mistakes, and be completely consumed by the task. Neuroscientific research on flow states shows a temporary shutdown in the self monitoring areas of the brain's prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for social judgment. This phenomenon is known as transient hypofrontality. And when an observer steps in, they force that self monitoring part of your brain to reactivate. You can't commit to the task because your brain is now worried about how you look doing the task. The watcher pulls you out of the messy, necessary vulnerability of creation and forces you back into social performance mode. So, if you want uninterrupted peak productivity, the price is the eradication of all witnesses. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to see more.